Hey guys, I am, as you can see, in a hotel on location with the client, getting some work done and getting some peace. So I hadn't done videos in a while, just life, things were going on and stuff like that. But even though I hadn't, my adoptee angels, who are Janet and a guy named Rick, both of them have been working on my case since like September, maybe late August, somewhere around there. It was like the best birthday present ever to have someone who doesn't know me at all decide that they want to help me find my birth parents. They call them angels because these people um, give of their own time to help adoptees and birth parents locate each other. So I'm very thankful for that. They're like I see groups that are like that, and people just help us figure out not only the DNA part, but skills with how to cope with what we find out. Whether we make a connection and the parent doesn't want to be involved, we find information and find out that our parent is deceased. All the different things, all the different conclusions that can happen when you do stuff like this. So I'm thankful for those people who do that. Thankful for the angels that came into my life and have decided to help me, and not just Janet and Rick, but all of my birth family members who have taken an interest and opened their arms to me and shown me so much love since August. And I mean, it's just been since August that I got that DNA test done, and now here we are. So here's the latest update. Drum roll. Okay, Janet and Rick found my birth father. Now, if you looked at my updates on my YouTube channel, in one of my last updates, we thought we had a match. And one of the cousins of Janet. Now, another cousin who I never shared her name, but the cousin that's in the industry, contacted him, and he said he was in Germany at the time, and that he knew nothing about it for whatever reason. It was shut down as far as me being his daughter. Um, so we kind of were at a stalemate then, because we're like, okay, so either we can believe him and go with something else, or we can go with our gut and say, okay, we need to confirm, not just, drop it and go on to the next person. So we confirmed, thanks to my aunt Pam, one of my matches, who has turned out to be my aunt. She's the sister of my father and birth father, and she agreed to do a DNA test. So Janice sent her a DNA test, and it confirmed that she was my aunt. So it went from there. I'm guessing. I don't have all of the details of how it went from, shutting it down to, yeah, that's my daughter. But who cares? Like, I know I should be upset, but it's like, who cares? I'm glad that we got to this point. Whatever transpired in between that is fine, but now let's move forward. So she called me last night. No, she called me, but my phone was on silent, so I didn't get the call. And I'm kind of thankful I didn't, because she had him on three-way, and I know I wouldn't have been prepared for that conversation. So God put it on that I didn't see that call. Anyways, so she texted me and she told me, like, I found your birth father. I was assuming that this was a totally different person because of, the way she said it. But I called her back, and then she told me, that it was him. And so, even when it was said that, he said no, he was in Germany at the time, blah, 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 I still felt like, like, that's not the end of that. Like, I don't feel like we have a confirmation yet. We can't count him out yet. So apparently, Janet and I were right. Well, all of us were right, really. So anyway, she told me that he wanted to talk to me. And so I wasn't quite ready, when I talked to her. But, after an hour or so and talking to my friend Imani and, getting a little courage, I called him, but he didn't answer. So, but today, which is Thursday, he finally called me back during his lunch break, and Janet had told me some of the information that he shared with her, and then I got a little bit more from him. So y'all ready for the story? Because this is gonna be a lifetime movie. I'm telling you. Now, let's review. If those of you who saw my update videos know about my report, my unidentified report that adoptees get once they turn 18, the adoption agency, if it's a closed adoption like mine, send them a report, and it doesn't have like any names or any birth dates or anything like that, but basically a general idea of, some of your background story. Okay, so my non-identifying report said this. Okay, my mother was 17 at the time she got pregnant, 18 when I was born, something like that, 17 or 18 years old. Okay, it didn't say where she was from. That's some more identifying information. But I was born in Shumpert. She was at the VOA pregnancy home from June until the time I was born. So she resided in Shreveport at the time I was born at the pregnancy home. Okay, what it said about my father was that they had been dating for a little while. She got pregnant. He found out. He left, took off, or whatever. And I was never mad when, I saw that. It was just like, oh, okay, well, I can understand why she did it. Because she also had a little boy who was 1 or younger. He was less than 2 years old. He was a little bit older than me, born in 77. So he was like 1 and some change, probably. But having to deal with 2 children at the age of 17, 18 was probably a little bit much. And, of course, you would decide. Now, why she gave up 1 and didn't give up the other, but the report said that the boy was by another man who got killed in a car wreck. Okay, I need y'all to remember all of this, because then I'm going to tell you my birth father's version of the story. This version is what she told VOA. So it said that, he got killed in a car accident, and then she met this guy, and then they started dating, and then he bailed once he found out she was pregnant. Okay, so that's the story. And it didn't have any backstory on my father's family. A lot of backstory on her, as far as she was living with her mother and sister at the time, all this other stuff. So, but because the DNA matches were all on my father's side, that's where we started. And now that we found out who he is and we've got some information from him, now Janet and Rick, my angel, are going to pursue finding her. Okay, so here's the birth father's version of the story. Y'all ready? Y'all sitting down? This is crazy. Okay, like that's why I had to do video, because having to explain this story 15 million times would just drive me crazy. So if you have additional questions, put them in the comments and I'll ask. Don't put the same. I'm only going to answer one question. If y'all repeat the question, I'm going to say, look at the answer above. Anyway, so he said that at the time that he found out she was pregnant with me, girl, they were engaged. He ended up getting deployed to Germany. He said that he was writing her, communicating with her, sending her money, all this other stuff, but no communication back. So he found out that she was going to place me for adoption. He went AWOL, came back to the States, tried to look for her, was unsuccessful. She would not tell him where she was. Nobody would tell her where she was. He knew she was somewhere in Shreveport, but didn't know where. And she was probably in that pregnancy home. He said that she said she was staying with relatives. And which was probably true, before she went to the pregnancy home. But according to VOA, from June until August, she was in their home. So, and he probably didn't know anything about that. So, this is the 70s. People don't, they don't have as much information as we have now. Okay, so he got in some trouble, of course, for going AWOL. Went back to Germany, came back to the States permanently in 1980. So I was 2 years old in 1980. He tried again to find out where I was and was still unsuccessful. And I was right there in Shreveport. I was in Shreveport till I was 18 and moved to, go to school in New Orleans, Louisiana. So I've been there the whole time. Where does he live? Monroe, Louisiana. Yeah. And she is apparently from Rayville. Now, here's what he told us about her. He said that, well, they were engaged. He was planning a life with her. For whatever reason, I don't know. We won't know until we talk to her or some members of her family. While he was away, things changed. So she decided to place me for adoption. The story about the guy who was my brother's father is apparently untrue. Actually, the brother is a full brother and not a half brother. That's what he told me. He doesn't know where he is. So basically, he had two kids out there. He didn't know where they were. It's scandalous. I'm not judging. I'm just telling you what I was told. Now, when we get down to the nitty gritty where we have both of them, both sides or whatever, we can determine what's true and what's not. And yeah, this caused a whole bunch of confusion, as you can imagine. But he was devastated about losing me. And that's what he was like, I tried to search for you, and she was basically just shutting it down, like, no, it's done and deal with it. And he was really, emotional. He told me when he called, he left a message, even though I didn't answer the phone. He called while I was on the phone with Janet, and I didn't answer. And then I left a message. He left a message, and he was like, "This is your daddy," and things like that. Like, some of the conversation was hard for me to deal with because I understand that in his mind he's my father, but in my mind I already have a father. So it's that whole like process we're going to have to go through where I need him to respect the fact that I have parents, even though he's my birth father. Respect the fact that I have parents who raised me and the only parents I've ever known, and and all that. So what I plan to call him has not been established. Again, it's a process because the only person I've ever called daddy is John. So, and that's that. But anyway, so yeah, all of this has happened. Like, we talked about that when Janet told me some stuff last night. He talked about it today. And so um so he also told me that I have younger siblings. I've never had younger siblings. So, and one of them is in LSU law right now. So I was like, oh, I graduated from LSU, and I've connected with her on Facebook. I gotta wait for her to accept the request. I also have a couple of younger brothers, maybe more than two. Um, so anyway, all of that has happened in the past 24, not even 24 hours. For those wondering, yes, he wants to have a relationship. He wants to see me. I'm not sure how I feel about that yet because, like I said, it's still strange right now. It's fresh. So maybe by the time I come back, I'll be gung ho for it or whatever. Imani's already ready to go on a road trip to Monroe. Yeah, we'll have to figure that out. But I wanted to let y'all know. It's not that I had stopped looking. It was just like so much was going on in life. And I, thankfully, I had, Janet and the angel Rick to take the case on and give themselves like 200% to just my case, because Janet has her own stuff that she should be working on or could be working on, and she's decided to help me. So I'm totally grateful for that. And so yeah, and she was like, "This is a belated birthday gift," and I was like, "More like an early Christmas present." So who knows? Probably by Christmas, maybe I'll know who. Well, I know her name. I'm not going to say it, but I know her name, and hopefully they'll find her, or her and my brother, or either or. I don't know, but it's like this is happening so fast because I honestly wasn't expecting to find either one, this year. And I know, like I said, we had not eliminated him, but we had come to, a standing point. And I was like, well, now we have to start all over looking for somebody on that side. So now that it's confirmed, we move on from there. And he and I will talk some more. Like I said, I'm open to communication and eventually, some type of relationship. But we will have to talk about respecting the parents, you know. But that's where I am now. And people like, well, how do you feel? I don't know how I feel. Like, it's exciting, nerve wracking. I don't know. I just have so many mixed emotions. And I don't know where it's going to go. Thanks to everybody who's been praying for me. I know, like, I can feel it. Even if you never say it, I can feel it. And so the universe is working in my favor, regardless of what's going on in the world. The universe knows that I need positive vibes and is sending them, and the angels are working. So it's great.